Why does failing in front of others feel so much worse than failing in private? It's a question almost everyone faces at some point, yet few people talk about openly. Maybe you've experienced it. A presentation that went wrong, a project that collapsed, or a personal goal that fell apart with friends, family, or colleagues watching. The embarrassment lingers, and the memory can haunt you for weeks, months, or even years. But why does public failure cut so deep? The answer lies in the way our brains are wired. As humans, we're social creatures. For thousands of years, our survival depended on being accepted by the group. Rejection or humiliation could mean isolation, and isolation could mean danger. Even today, when you fail in front of others, your brain reacts as if you're being pushed out of the tribe. That's why your heart races, your face flushes, and you feel exposed. It's not just in your head, it's biology, but there's more to it. Public failure doesn't just trigger embarrassment. It often brings a heavy dose of shame. Shame is different from guilt. Guilt says, I did something wrong. Shame whispers, there's something wrong with me. When you fail in public, it's easy to believe that everyone is judging not just your actions, but your character, your intelligence, your worth. That's why the pain feels so personal, so lasting. And then there's the echo chamber of your own mind. After a public setback, your thoughts can spiral. What will people think of me now? Will I ever be respected again? Am I just not good enough? These questions can keep you stuck, replaying the moment over and over, making it feel even bigger than it was. But here's the thing, most people are far more focused on their own lives than on your mistakes. The harsh spotlight you feel is often much brighter in your mind than in reality. Still, the fear of judgment can be paralyzing, making you want to hide, give up, or never try again. Yet, what if this pain, this raw, uncomfortable feeling, could actually be the key to your growth? What if the very thing you're trying to avoid is the thing that can make you stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever before? In the next section, we'll explore the first powerful way to rise after public failure. How to reframe the narrative and turn your setback into the first step of your comeback. Get ready to see your story in a whole new light. Have you ever noticed how the story you tell yourself about failure can be even more powerful than the failure itself? After a public setback, it's easy to let your mind replay the worst moments on a loop, turning a single event into a permanent label. I'm not cut out for this. Everyone saw me fail. Maybe I should just give up. But what if you could rewrite that story and in doing so, change your entire future? Here's the truth. Failure is not a final verdict. It's feedback. Every time you fall short, you're being handed valuable information about what didn't work, what you can improve, and where your next opportunity lies. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who learn to see failure as a stepping stone, not a stop sign. Let's look at a real example. Think about J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter. Before her books became a global phenomenon, she faced multiple rejections from publishers. She could have told herself, I'm not a real writer. No one believes in me. Instead, she reframed her narrative. Every no brings me closer to a yes. That mindset didn't erase the pain of rejection, but it gave her the strength to keep going and eventually to succeed beyond her wildest dreams. So how do you reframe your own narrative after public failure? Start by asking yourself better questions. Instead of, why did this happen to me? Try, what can I learn from this? Instead of, what will people think? Ask, how can I use this experience to grow? This simple shift moves you from victim to learner, from stuck to moving forward. Another powerful tool is to separate your identity from your outcome. You are not your failure. You are a person who experienced a setback, and that's something every achiever has in common. When you see failure as a single chapter, not the whole story, you open the door to new possibilities. Here's a practical exercise. Write down the story you've been telling yourself about your failure. Be honest, even if it's painful. Then rewrite it from the perspective of a future version of yourself who has already made a comeback. What did you learn? How did you grow? What new strengths did you discover? This isn't just positive thinking, it's training your brain to look for solutions, not just problems. Reframing the narrative doesn't erase what happened, but it changes what happens next. It's the first step in turning public failure into your greatest comeback. But changing your story is just the beginning. In the next section, we'll dive into the power of owning your story and how radical honesty and vulnerability can turn your setback into a source of strength and connection. Get ready to take control of your narrative like never before. What if the very thing you're most afraid to admit is the key to your comeback? After public failure, the instinct is to hide, to downplay what happened, or to pretend it never occurred. But here's a truth that might surprise you. The more you try to run from your story, the more power it has over you. The moment you choose to own your story, honestly and openly, is the moment you start to take your power back. Owning your story means facing what happened without excuses or denial. It's about being honest with yourself and, when you're ready, with others. This doesn't mean you have to broadcast every detail to the world. It means you stop letting shame dictate your actions. You acknowledge your setback, but you also claim your right to move forward. Think about some of the most inspiring comebacks you've ever seen. They almost always start with someone standing up and saying, "Yes, I failed. Here's what happened. Here's what I learned." When you do this, you transform your failure from a source of shame into a source of strength. You show others and yourself that you are more than your worst moment. Let's look at a real-life example. Consider the story of Michael Jordan, widely regarded as one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Early in his career, he was cut from his high school basketball team. Instead of hiding this fact, he owned it. He talked about it openly, using it as fuel to work harder and prove himself. That vulnerability didn't make him weaker. It made his eventual success even more powerful. Here's how you can start to own your story. Acknowledge what happened. Write it down or say it out loud. Don't sugarcoat it, but don't exaggerate it either. Share your experience with someone you trust. Sometimes just speaking your truth breaks the hold of shame. Look for the lesson. What did this experience teach you about yourself, your values, or your goals? Decide what comes next. Owning your story isn't about staying stuck in the past. It's about choosing your next chapter. When you own your story, you become the author of your life again. You stop letting other people's opinions or your own fears control your narrative. You show up as your real, imperfect, resilient self. And that's where true confidence begins. But honesty and vulnerability are just the start. In the next section, we'll explore how to build a resilience routine, practical habits and mindsets that help you bounce back stronger no matter how public your setback was. Get ready to turn your story into unstoppable momentum. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to bounce back from public failure while others stay stuck for months or even years? The difference isn't luck or talent, it's resilience. Resilience isn't something you're born with. It's a skill you can build, one habit at a time. And after a public setback, building a resilience routine is your secret weapon for regaining confidence and emotional strength. Let's be honest, after failing in front of others, your self-esteem can take a serious hit. You might start doubting your abilities, second-guessing your decisions, or even questioning your worth. But here's the thing. Confidence isn't about never falling down. It's about learning how to get back up again and again, no matter how many people saw you stumble. So, how do you actually build resilience? It starts with small daily actions that reinforce your ability to recover and grow. Here are some practical habits to help you rebuild from the inside out. Number 1, practice self-compassion. Instead of beating yourself up, talk to yourself the way you'd talk to a friend who just went through a tough time. Remind yourself that everyone fails and that this moment doesn't define you. Number 2, Set micro goals. After a big setback, it's tempting to try to fix everything at once. Instead, focus on one small win each day. Maybe it's sending an email you've been avoiding, going for a walk, or simply getting out of bed with purpose. Each small victory rebuilds your confidence brick by brick. Number 3, build a support system. Reach out to people who believe in you, friends, mentors, or even online communities. Share your struggles and your progress. You'll be surprised how many people want to help and how much lighter the load feels when you're not carrying it alone. Number 4, reflect and journal. Take a few minutes each day to write about what you're feeling, what you've learned, and what you're grateful for. This habit helps you process emotions and spot patterns of growth you might otherwise miss. Number 5, move your body. Physical activity isn't just good for your health. It's a proven way to boost your mood and resilience. Even a short walk or a few stretches can help reset your mind and release stress. Remember, resilience isn't about ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine. It's about facing your reality, taking small steps forward, and trusting that you can rebuild, no matter how public your fall was. But resilience alone isn't enough. The real transformation happens when you start to leverage the lessons hidden inside your setback. In the next section, we'll explore how to turn your public failure into a source of wisdom, growth, and new opportunities. Get ready to discover the hidden gifts in your story. What if your public failure wasn't just something to survive, but a goldmine of growth, wisdom, and new opportunities? It's easy to see a setback as a dead end, but the truth is every failure contains lessons that can shape your future in ways you never imagined. The key is learning how to extract those lessons and use them as fuel for your next chapter. After a public setback, your first instinct might be to move on as quickly as possible, to forget it ever happened. But if you rush past the pain, you risk missing the insights that can make you stronger and smarter. The most successful people don't just bounce back, they bounce forward, using what they've learned to avoid old mistakes and seize new opportunities. So, how do you actually leverage the lessons from your failure? Here's a step-by-step approach. Number 1, reflect honestly. Take time to review what happened without sugarcoating or blaming others. Ask yourself, what went wrong? What was in my control and what wasn't? Number 2, identify the root cause. Was it a lack of preparation, a communication gap, or maybe just bad timing? Pinpointing the real reason helps you avoid repeating the same mistake. Number 3, seek feedback. Sometimes the most valuable insights come from others. Ask trusted friends, mentors, or colleagues for their honest perspective. What did they see that you might have missed? Number 4, turn pain into a plan. Once you know what went wrong, decide what you'll do differently next time. Maybe it's building a new skill, changing your approach, or simply being more prepared for the unexpected. Number 5, look for hidden opportunities. Failure often opens doors you never would have noticed otherwise. Maybe you discover a new passion, meet someone who changes your path, or find a better way to reach your goals. Let's look at a real-world example. After Steve Jobs was fired from Apple, the company he co-founded, he could have let that public failure define him. Instead, he used the experience to learn, grow, and eventually return to Apple stronger than ever. The lessons he gained during his time away became the foundation for some of his greatest successes. Remember, the goal isn't to avoid failure at all costs, but to become someone who can learn and adapt no matter what happens. When you leverage the lessons in your setback, you transform failure from an ending into a powerful new beginning. But learning from failure is only part of the journey. The real magic happens when you're ready to step back into the arena and stage your comeback. In the next section, we'll explore how to plan and execute your return so you can rise higher than ever before. What if your greatest comeback is waiting just on the other side of your most public failure? The truth is, every inspiring story of redemption starts with a decision. The decision to get back up, to try again, and to show the world and yourself what you're really made of. Staging your comeback isn't about erasing the past. It's about using everything you've learned to create a future that's even stronger. So, how do you actually plan and execute your next move after a setback? Here's a step-by-step guide to help you rise with purpose and confidence. Number 1, set a clear, meaningful goal. Don't just aim to do better next time. Define exactly what success looks like for you now. Is it rebuilding trust, mastering a new skill, or launching a new project? The more specific your goal, the more powerful your comeback will be. Number 2, break your goal into actionable steps. Big comebacks are built on small wins. List out the actions you need to take, one at a time. Maybe it's reaching out to someone you let down, enrolling in a course, or practicing a skill every day. Number 3, build accountability. Share your goal with someone you trust, or even with your audience if you're comfortable. Accountability turns intention into action and gives you support when motivation dips. Number 4, embrace the spotlight on your terms. Don't hide from your past failure. Instead, use your story as a source of inspiration. When you own your journey, you take control of the narrative and show others what resilience really looks like. Number 5, celebrate progress, not just perfection. Every step forward counts. Track your wins, no matter how small, and give yourself credit for showing up. Progress is proof that you're moving in the right direction. Let's look at a real-life example. After Serena Williams lost a major tennis final in front of millions, she didn't let the defeat define her. She analyzed her performance, set new goals, and came back stronger, winning even more titles and inspiring countless fans with her resilience. Remember, your comeback doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes the most powerful returns happen quietly as you rebuild your confidence and skills day by day. What matters is that you choose to rise, to act, and to believe that your story isn't over. But how do you make sure these 5 ways become part of your daily life, not just a one-time effort? In the next section, we'll bring it all together with a practical integration plan and a challenge to help you turn these lessons into lasting change. You've just learned 5 powerful ways to rise after public failure, but the real transformation happens when you put them into practice, not just once, but as a new way of living. Imagine what could change if you made these steps part of your daily routine. What if every setback became a setup for your next breakthrough? Here's how to combine all 5 ways into a comeback blueprint. Number 1, reframe the narrative. When you catch yourself replaying your failure, pause and ask, what's the lesson here? Shift your story from defeat to feedback. Number 2, own your story. Be honest with yourself and others about what happened. Vulnerability is the foundation of real strength. Number 3, build a resilience routine. Start small. 1 positive habit, 1 supportive conversation, 1 act of self-compassion each day. Number 4, leverage the lessons. Reflect on what your setback taught you and use that wisdom to make smarter moves going forward. Number 5, stage your comeback. Set a clear goal, break it into steps, and take action, even if it's just a tiny step today. Here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, choose one of these ways to focus on each day. Journal your progress, share your journey with someone you trust, or even leave a comment below about your experience. You'll be amazed at how quickly your mindset shifts and how much stronger you feel. But there's one final thought that can make all the difference. In the last section, I'll share a closing message to help you keep moving forward, no matter what comes your way. Remember, public failure is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your greatest comeback. The world may have seen you fall, but now they get to witness you rise. Every setback, every moment of embarrassment is a chance to rewrite your narrative and show what true resilience looks like. You've learned 5 powerful ways to rise after public failure. Now, it's your turn to put them into action. Don't let fear or shame hold you back. Use your experience as fuel, not as a weight. The next chapter is yours to write, and it can be more inspiring than anything that came before. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs a reminder that failure is not final. Leave a comment below about your own comeback journey or which of these 5 ways you're going to try first. Your story could be the spark that helps someone else rise too. Why can public failure be your greatest comeback? Because it's proof that you're brave enough to try, strong enough to learn, and resilient enough to rise, no matter who's watching.